Hey, welcome to the Jeff and Stone podcast, the podcast where two friends raise a glass and have a conversation. I'm Nick.
I'm Kyle.
Kyle, you know, occasionally we're joined by friends of the show.
You mean like friends that give us really cool insights into things that we want to learn about?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I know that.
Well, guess what?
What?
Today's one of those days.
All right.
Everybody say hello to Jamie from RationAle Brewing.
Gents, how are you?
We are doing well.
Yeah, as well as can be.
Jamie, you're based out in California, correct?
Yeah, Encinitas, California, San Diego born.
Oh, fantastic.
The beer brand is.
Right. Yeah, we got the coasts covered right now.
Indeed.
You guys are Florida, right?
Yeah, Central Florida. We're about 45 minutes on a very good traffic day from Orlando.
Or an hour and a half on a normal day.
All right, there you go.
Yeah. Man, have we recorded with someone in California before?
I don't think so.
Now, we usually somehow go the opposite way.
Yeah.
It's like always like Scotland and Ireland. So it's like 10 p.m. for them, and we feel so bad. It's like just in terms of recording, it's like lunchtime for Jamie.
Yeah, this works out really well.
So Jamie, feel free to eat if you need to.
Yeah, if you're on your break.
Right.
So Jamie and I, Kyle, I found RationAle Brewing at the Great American Beer Fest.
Yes.
And Jamie, I don't know if you and I actually met, or were you at the Great American Beer Fest?
Yeah, we were. We've been there the last 3 years. If you didn't meet me, you met Wendy, the co-founder.
Okay. Yeah, I know I met. I have a feeling we met, and obviously being there, it's a lot of people. It's crazy. And I don't know how many brewers and
how many hands you shook.
Yeah, exactly.
How many cans you crushed.
Babies I kissed. That kind of thing.
Did you stop by our booth, though? Did you come by and have beer at the booth?
I did. Yeah, I did. You guys were running the DD area.
Well, we had our own standalone tent, but then we also had beer in the designated driver section as well. So we were in both areas.
Oh, okay. Yeah, So then, I went by both because I saw you guys twice. And I was like, wait, weren't they just over there?
Oh, we probably were, man. We were all over we were toting around a cooler of beer as well, handing out beers. So got no shame.
Yeah. Well, and what's great about the Great American Beer Fest is like everybody's doing that to some capacity.
Oh yeah. Everyone's doing that, but I'll tell you, from the first year we did it, where it was like so difficult to get anyone to have non-alcoholic beer. Last year it was like a lineup. People are like, all right, they're pacer beer time. Like, I've already had 10 1-ounce shots, so now I need to go get my can of RationAle. That's literally what we were doing, is like handing out cans as a pacer beer.
Oh yeah, sure. Makes a lot of sense.
The cops are happy with us.
Oh yeah, they're like, yeah, those guys. Oh, it's NA beer. Oh yeah, we love those guys. Yeah, it's always Kyle didn't get to attend this year, but it's always a super interesting experience just to see the hustle and bustle of it all, and to meet so many great brewers like yourselves. And as soon as I sampled some RationAle, I was like, dude, we gotta talk to these guys and first of all get some of the beer, because for us here in Central Florida, we can't, as far as I know, unless we're shipping stuff. But we got to get some of this, and we gotta talk to these guys, because this is great stuff. I don't want to preempt everybody into this, but I'm just saying it preemptively.
You're pushing. I don't think we mind it, though.
You're already giving out your discount code.
Insert discount code here.
Right. We'll attach that at the end. Yeah. This is a perfect place to start, Jamie. With you guys being an NA brewery, I think the surge that we've seen out of NA beers in the last few years, like, is this something that you saw coming, or is this kind of just as much as a surprise to you as it is kind of to us as consumers?
No, dude, I did not see this coming. I wasn't drinking non-alcoholic beer 3 years ago. I mean, I am a 7% hazy IPA, 6% West Coast IPA kind of guy. I grew up in Toronto, Canadian, I've been drinking beer since I was 16, probably earlier than that. So if you'd asked me 4 years ago if I would have launched one of the fastest growing non-alcoholic craft beer companies, I would have told you, hell no. Why do I do that? Why would I do that? I drink beer with alcohol in it, which is what I get all the time now. We're at sampling events. But it's crazy how this came together, and I guess it's a combination of my professional background. So I came out of consumer goods. I've spent 30 years, worked for some of the larger global beverage companies, and also in the food industry. So I had this incredible background in knew what it took to scale and build brands. And I also spent the last 3 years before COVID and into COVID working for some founders that were in early stage startups, because I really wanted to just get myself back to where I started my career. And I learned a lot, and I realized what I was really missing from a purpose standpoint was having my own business, but I never thought it would be non-alcoholic beer. And it's sort of ironic because growing up in Toronto, my dad was the youngest Superior Court judge in Canada in his early 30s, and he was the top trial lawyer in the country. And I watched my dad through my teens and my 20s and into my early 30s completely implode his career to alcohol.
Oh, wow.
And he eventually passed away in his late 60s, and he had been debarred from the Law Society, so he could practice law, and that happened to him in his 50s. He was in debt. He had already had one liver transplant, and he had lost everything. I mean, he lied. It was a very sad situation, lost everything, and he passed away in a halfway house in downtown Toronto. And I thought, shit, is this my family legacy? Because my mom also unfortunately passed away due to alcohol-related issues. And fortunately, my brother, who's done an incredible turnaround, is a thriving, recovering alcoholic. So, I had this family legacy that was weighing over me, and I just thought that's just what it's going to be. And so what actually happened was 3 years ago, right when I was in the middle of some of those early stage startups, helping founders, I was sitting with my two sons. And the oldest was heading off to the University of Alabama, and he just got into beta. So
roll tide.
I mean, I knew he was going to be throwing down probably 5 nights a week. And my younger son was in high school, and they knew my family history, right? There'd been moments where I'd been sort of hardcore in the conversations, but this time I was on a soapbox. It was a Friday night, and I was just telling him, like, hey, dude, you got to be really rational about how much you drink. You got to be rational about what you drink. You got to be rational about when you drink. And I know I probably used the word rational 3 times. And my younger son, who was sitting there, he was just being a total smartass, tried to end the conversation, and he just blurted out, "Why don't you just go launch a beer company called RationAle?" I get chills thinking about it, but we laughed about that, and damn, that's such a great name. And I mean, we talked about it. I didn't think anything of it. And then I got up on Saturday morning, and he'd gone and grabbed my credit card, and he registered the trademark RationAle Brewing and printed it off and left it by the coffee maker. And so that's when I knew, shit, this is my purpose.
Right.
This is why I spent 30 years working for everyone else, and why I just spent these years working with other founders. And now I understand my family legacy. I'm I can do something with that and course correct, because here I was, unfortunately, I definitely have had my moments of overconsumption, but I didn't follow the path of my other family members. But I was drinking water and kombucha and soft drinks in between drinking beer. And I never connected the dots or asking myself, why am I not drinking non-alcoholic beer? And the only reason was because there was only one brand I knew, and it was the legacy brand. And I didn't want to drink it, and I didn't think it was possible to have anything good. So when I started on this path, I knew nothing about the space. I candidly went to a BevMo, bought pretty much every beer on the shelf that was non-alcoholic, brought it home, put it in the fridge, and I dumped probably 95% of it down the drain. None of it was for me, and I thought, okay, there's got to be a better way to do this. And also, none of the brands were resonating with who I was, which was I enjoyed drinking alcohol. I enjoy drinking craft beer. I would love to have something that I could slide in between, or just have that on a Friday, or I crush 2 of them and then I have my beer. So I thought, I'm going to do something that no one else is doing in the category, and I'm also going to do in a way that the beer tastes really fucking good. And so that was the beginning of it, and it's been an absolute epic journey the last 2.5 years.
That's incredible. That it all resonates so personally with you. That's fantastic.
Yeah, man, it's definitely personal, and it's a family business, but you talk to anybody that's a part of this team now, and I mean team of investors and strategic advisors and industry partners, everyone that's come in to work with this brand has an emotional connection into this brand. And the cool thing about this category specifically, which I've worked across all food and beverage categories, this category specifically hits a nerve with consumers. Like, it's very emotional, and everyone has their own journey and their own story around alcohol. And the majority aren't going to be living sober lifestyles. They're just trying to figure out their way, maybe to drink a little less. And this brand is the brand for them, right? Because not everyone is going to be running marathons or playing pickleball or jumping into ice baths. Like, that's not us. We're going to concerts and music festivals and beer festivals and throwing it down on the backyard barbecue in the summers. And that's where our brand is, and that's who we resonate with.
Scrolling through Instagram and social media, and like, that's what Jamie just said. That's 100% true. I mean, you guys were just at South by Southwest, in terms of recording, that was last week?
Was that last week? Yeah, dude, it was last week. Like, that's crazy. I've been on the road for 3 weeks, so yeah.
Brutal.
Yeah.
So like, it's that idea of, it's, to me anyway, and what drew me to RationAle as a whole is, it's not just an NA beer. It's a beer that, hey, look, we might be drinkers too. We might not be drinkers, but this is something for you. And that's what really drew me to it. Is it's not just, as you mentioned, people who are, pumping out a bunch of reps or going, mountain biking. It can be for that, absolutely, but it's also people who just want to chill and hang out and, like you said, go to concerts and barbecues and that kind of thing. Which that's what drew me to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the cool thing about the brand is that we're 100% inclusive, and that the brand's being built to pull in the alcohol consumer that's looking for something rad. But we have a huge influx of consumers that have been living sober lifestyles, that have had access to the other non-alcoholic beverages for years, are coming into the brand because of the quality of the beer. And they're coming into the brand because they love that this brand will attract their friends in, so that they're sharing the same brand. And we are attracting in a lot of those athletes and wellness folks, because this brand, again, due to the quality of the beer, they want something that really resonates with what they enjoy drinking. So it's really been cool building something that's different in the market, and we will stay that path.
Yeah, and that's so true, because we both have friends who maybe go months at a time or are completely alcohol free just in general. And I always felt like when we got together with those people that they felt slightly excluded. And what's great about an NA beer as a whole is that it gives those people an opportunity to not feel that way. You mentioned inclusion, and that's exactly it. Whether it is those larger kind of groups, or whether it is a small friend group of like, hey, you don't have to feel like you're excluded from this party, this barbecue, this concert, because you're not drinking something. Here is something for you, which I find really cool.
Yeah, exactly.
So Jamie, you've actually sent us a couple of your beers, and I think before we continue this conversation, we should probably drink something.
Yeah, we should get something in.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Well, before you guys crack them open, the one thing I will share with you is what we believe separates our beer from others on the market, and why you'll notice the body and the flavor in the beer is the technology. And so we're using technology right now that was developed here in the US. It's new to the market. It's not readily available at all. So it's early stages, but it uses a process of double fermentation along with reverse osmosis. Reverse osmosis is commonly used to remove alcohol from beverages, but the double fermentation process is unique because it goes through this double-stepped process where it brews the beer down to a concentrate, and that concentrate is then reintroduced into a new batch of beer where it's then brewed again down to a concentrate. So you end up with these highly concentrated batches of beer that are then recarbonated and packaged. So we're able to control what goes back in terms of the carbonation of water, and in the concentrate, because it's so concentrated, those flavor, when it's recarbonated, you end up with this incredible body. So you're going to notice on these beers some good quality head if you pour it properly, and you're going to get a really good nose off of it, and that will follow through with the taste.
You ready to get into it?
I'm ready.
Okay, so we've got 3 different beers, and we're going to let you choose. We've got the Mexican Lager, the Citrus Hazy IPA,
and the West Coast IPA.
So where do you think we should start?
Yeah, you definitely got to start with the Mexican Lager, which actually we just updated the branding on it, so it's now Mexican Cerveza.
Okay.
Because technically, you're not really allowed to use the word lager with a non-alcoholic. So it's a Mexican Cerveza.
Okay.
We're all learning.
Yeah, so am I. FDA hasn't come at us yet. So yeah, this beer you guys are going to pour it. You're going to get. We really wanted to go this against a Pacifico, Modelo, Corona. You're going to have a nice body, good head. You're going to get some corn on it, breadiness. And I will tell you, I should have prepped you guys. Like, a lime with this beer is freaking off the charts, but it's highly crushable. And yeah, hopefully you guys got it ice cold. But give it a good pour. Make sure you got a good head on it, and give it a good mouthful. Don't sip on that.
I mean, in my experience with NA beers, and we've covered quite a few on the podcast, of a lot of times where I get disappointed in it is like it doesn't give you that sensation of beer. It's not close enough. It's either too effervescent or it's too vegetal sometimes, or things are just off. Yeah.
Yeah.
But this smells amazing.
It's such a good beer, man.
Yeah. Yeah, that's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, something I appreciate, and you've already mentioned, is the mouthfeel. And like what Kyle just said, it's that, you know, so many NA beers, even these like massive, you know, multinational brands, it's either too soda-y, it's too, you know, watery, and it's not the mouthfeel. But this, it's the mouthfeel that, to me, like the flavor's there. It's definitely, you mentioned Modelo, Pacifico, it's definitely there, but it's the mouthfeel that, like, that's where you guys have nailed it, and that is fantastic.
Thank you. Well, and I will just, the comment you made around you've tried other beers and they have similar flavor notes, is very common within the non-alcoholic space today, because technology is limited, is that many breweries will use arrested fermentation to basically achieve a much lower alcohol, which means they're only brewing the beer to 1 to 2% max. So the beer never fully ferments, right? So you sort of have green hops. And with our beer, we're brewing the beer all the way through to 5 to 6% before it even goes through the steps that I mentioned. So that's one of the biggest differences, along with some of the other breweries, because it's more affordable, will use yeast to break down the alcohol molecules, and that also can have an impact on the flavor, something that we don't do. And you know, you're going to notice over the next 2 to 3 years, as more technology enters the US and it's readily more available to breweries at a more affordable price, that the quality and taste of these beers in the category is going to continue to rise. This is just the beginning.
Yeah, and that's what excites me the most about, you know, being on the cusp of all of this, is that, you know, hopefully it's only going to get better. And especially, you know, brands like what you guys are doing that are already nailing it at this stage, like that's as a beer drinker and as someone who is really into NAs, that just really excites me.
Yeah, awesome, man. I'm glad you guys are stoked.
Yeah, it's so interesting to hear you explain, like, your philosophy behind it is exactly what we've been saying that we want out of NA beer. So it's like, it's like so satisfying.
Yeah. No, totally. And the wordiness, I mean, the reason why you're getting that on some other beers that you'll try is because the beers are being brewed at too much lower ABV, and then they're heating the beer up, where you're basically heating up a green hop, right? So you end up with that flavored on the back end. Now, this is also why with some of those beers that you'll try, if they have a stout version or a flavored version of sours, or they add purees, they can mask the wordiness in it. And so that's why you're seeing a lot of these other flavored beers do well within the non-alc space, because you don't pick up some of those flavor notes. But to do a lager, you can't hide that, right? You're not adding anything into this. So that's straight up why I always start with this, because it's clean. You're going to either see it or not in this beer.
I think that's what we've learned just over, you know, our, not only just doing the podcast, but our beer journey as a whole is, I mean, I don't know how many breweries I've been to at this point, but I'm never really impressed when a brewery can nail a hazy IPA. Like, I love hazy IPAs and they're good, but I'm like, what about your Pilsner or your straight up lager? If you can do that, and if you can nail that, and that is fantastic, I know that everything else you do is going to be just fine. Better than fine.
Yeah, exactly. You guys want to try the West Coast next?
Well, I was going to ask you about the Mexican Cerveza. Was that one of your first beers that y'all brewed?
It was the second. So the first one we launched was actually right here. So when we first launched, I launched in a 16-ounce can, and it was called Totally Irrational Citrus Hazy IPA, an absolute mouthful. And of course, a craft beer consumer, I launched it in a 16-ounce, and of course, as a craft beer consumer, I launched it in a 4-pack. So I was like building this thing around how I shopped, but I quickly realized as I launched it at retail, like the category was going towards 6-packs, cartons, and we had to clean up the cart. We had to get into a carton, I had to get into a 12-ounce can, I had to clean up the label. So like I learned a shit ton my first 12 months on what we needed to do. But the citrus hazy, the hazy was the first. And then based off of consumer feedback, actually in San Diego, everyone was like, do you have anything, do you have a Mexican lager or anything like a Corona Pacifico? And I was a Pacifico drinker myself, because my deal was I would drink a Modern Times Hazy IPA, have a couple of those, and then I'd switch over and have a couple of Pacificos, right? Well, that wasn't helping me out. That was my chaser beer and had 5% alcohol in it. So whereas like, actually, I could have 4 beers. 2 of them could be my Modern Times Hazy, and the other 2 could be my Mexican lager. So yeah, we started off with the hazy because I was a big hazy drinker, but then evolved to the lager because it was big consumer demand for Mexican cervezas in SoCal. And then the third was the West Coast IPA, just because West Coast, I wanted to have something that was super OG that would drink to the craft beer consumer. And so that was our 3. We launched a 4th, which was a New England Hazy, which we actually discontinued because we just wanted to have a tighter portfolio of one hazy IPA, but it was actually super popular. But we will be launching a 4th and 5th seasonal SKU this year as well, just based off of what the consumer's demanding.
Right.
Ooh,
so
seasonals.
We should move to the West Coast is what you're saying.
Yeah, West Coast is next. Yeah, so this beer, we really built this one to just be a very traditional OG West Coast from 25 years ago. So you're going to get the nice caramely look from a visual standpoint. You're going to get a caramely flavor note on the beer, but you're going to have a lot of body in your mouth, and you're going to notice on the back the dryness, which comes from the dry hopping on the back end from the hops. So it's I think a really good rounded, robust West Coast IPA. It'll be very different than any non-alc West Coast I believe you've had before.
Awesome. Let's get into it.
Well done.
Awesome. Thank you. I'm a professional.
It's like you've done it before.
Once or twice. Ooh.
Yeah,
that's incredible. Wait. That is impressive as hell.
Yeah, this beer, we just got third ranked NA on Untapped in California.
Wow.
The West Coast specifically, yeah.
Just based on the nose, it absolutely should be first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, roasty, toasty, hoppy thing.
I really love and appreciate like any beer, first of all, that has that malt forward nature in any kind of IPA style. But then you obviously add the layer of this is an NA beer. Like you could, I'm gonna say it. You could give this to any of our friends, be like, hey, what kind of beer is this? And they'd be like, yeah, it's an IPA, or it's some malt forward notes.
Yeah, a little citrus coming through.
Oh yeah.
For anyone that drinks craft beers, of course you're always going to miss the weight of the alcohol because it's what it's what you expect. But with this beer, I mean, you're getting everything except for the weight of the alcohol.
Absolutely.
And honestly, I think that's what I appreciate about it is, again, it's every note that I expect. And I know going into it, this is NA. So I expect that the weight of the alcohol, as you mentioned, Jamie, is not there. And I think that if you were to give this to someone and not tell them that it's an NA beer, yes, you're right. They would probably be like, yeah, but there's something not there. And you're like, you're right. It's the alcohol. The alcohol is not there. But in terms of, again, mouthfeel and nature of true to style,
yeah,
you get all those. You mentioned just, slight citrusy notes. There's a little bit of pine notes in there. And it's fantastic.
Yeah, like great volume and flavor.
Mm-hmm.
It's not, you're not backing down. You don't feel like it's watered down in any way. Like it's still full volume and flavor.
Yeah, I mean, Absolutely. There's a lot of thin beers on the market right now. I can't put anything on the market that I wouldn't drink myself or take to a party and hand out to buddies. So um, when we went into this, my expectations were I didn't give a shit how many carbs and calories were in these beers. As long as they tasted good and they were under zero point 0.5, we'll brew them all day long. So just turns out that actually these end up, all of them are less than 70 calories and none of them taste thin.
That's incredible.
For us, we can't get enough cans and enough sampling out fast enough because we've got, I mean, my ambition is to be the number 2 behind Athletic within 24 months. And it's ambitious, but I think we can be there because we are such a different style and we're super complementary to the set and we're bringing in new consumers. But I think the craft beer consumer will really resonate with the flavor of and body of these beers.
Yeah, 100%. And just in terms of, again, getting a subset of people who are, your traditional craft beer drinker. Hey, here's another product. Try this. It's fantastic. Yes. It's got everything that you want, and it's also NA. Like that's, yeah, absolutely.
The biggest threat we have right now as a category is the subpar beers that are on the shelf with breweries rushing to put products out, and they haven't done the R&D, and they're just trying to capture revenue, market share, and chase a category. And then you have a consumer that walks in the door that their buddy said, yeah, dude, the NA category is lit. There's so many good products. And then they go pick up one of those subpar beers, buy it, and spend $12, $13 and pour it down the drain. And they're like, fuck that. I'm out of this category for another, who knows how long. And then we lose a consumer in the category. So the sooner all tides rise in terms of the quality of the beer, the better it's going to be for everyone, which starts with the consumer experience.
It's so interesting that that's what the craft beer scene was also like 20 years ago. Yeah. It was that kind of, oh man, craft beer. And then people would go drink craft beer and it was just a bunch of shit. Or, it was too high ABV, or it's just like sweet bombs, or just stuff that was clearly, brewed in some dude's basement. And like, he had no idea what he was doing, absolutely nothing against homebrewers, but there was this unrefined quality. So exactly, like craft beer got that same kind of rap of like, oh, here's a craft beer. Nah, I'm not drinking that. And what you just mentioned, all tides as everything starts to rise and the products across the board get better, those brands that are already front runners are just going to keep rising with everybody, and that builds everybody.
That's exactly it.
We got another beer.
Cool. Let's do the hazy. So right away when you pour the hazy, I'll put our hazy IPA beside any other hazy IPA in the market from a look and appearance standpoint. It's definitely got the haze, which I dispute a lot of hazies that are on the market today aren't really hazy. So I think from a look perspective, appearance, we have that. And then you're going to get a lot on the nose. This beer specifically, we've been actually R&Ding this beer on every batch. Where this version is a new version from the last version. So we're evolving this one, but I'll tell you, this one has the hop structure within it. A lot of hops, and not overly hop though. I just mean the hop blend, you're going to pick up a lot of flavor notes in it, and you're going to pick up the citrus notes with a slight twist of juiciness. It's a little bit drier than I personally would like. So the next version of this will be more juicier, but you're going to get a really good feel of what the benchmark hazy is that we're now building for the future on this technology.
I really, without trying it yet, I love what you just said about you guys. Even though you already have solid products, we want to improve on what we're already doing.
Every batch, man. I mean, I am my biggest critic because I drink beer, and every batch I hate to say it, but every single batch we brew, I'm never satisfied with it. I'm not. There's always something we can be doing better. And the brew masters probably don't like it, but for me, I'm the consumer of my own product. So if I'm not satisfied and I know it can be better, then we can make tweaks. And I don't mean like big tweaks. I just mean continue to tweak it to make it better, and we get a shitload of consumer feedback on what they love about the beer and what they would like to see different in the beer. So we take that into factor as well when we get enough of it.
Yeah, on the nose, I'm getting like just slight dank, just ever so slight. It's almost like you get those citrusy notes, obviously, first. And then there's that like slight bit of college dorm room back there.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
In like the best way possible. A little danky nature.
Yeah.
It's like tucked away.
It's everything. It's mouthfeel. It's the flavor. It's the aftertaste. Everything about it is where you've always wanted NA to exist.
Absolutely.
It's absolutely delightful.
Man, I want a burger right now.
For sure.
Yeah, the food, that's the fun part about this brand for me, is because I love drinking beer with every meal. Every meal I have beer. But every meal before, when I had beer, it was alcohol beer. And now a lot of my meals now, I'm starting off with, at least on the weekends, I probably will have had a couple of NAs, and then I'll have an alcoholic beer with my meal. But like weekdays, this is what I do now. I'm crushing my non-alcs, and I can have 2 or 3 beers, and I'm feeling so good. I've got all the flavors mixed with the food, and I'm sitting on the couch at the end of the night, and I'm not all buzzed up going to bed. I mean, it's
that, and also for me, like with drinking a bunch of beers and then having food, I just get like heavy and bloated, and you just feel gross.
Yeah,
but I can personally attest, having had some RationAles for the last little bit, that pairs well with just about anything, and you don't have, as you just mentioned, like you don't feel terrible afterwards. You don't feel the buzz. You don't feel heavy and bloated. Yeah. It's fantastic.
Yeah, it's an awesome place to be now, to be in a world where we can have good quality non-alcoholic craft beers like this and have a category growing. And for myself, when I just go back to my story and my sons, I mean, they're going to be living a very different style of life and have a very different relationship around alcohol because of what's happening in this category right now, which is super cool. Because I probably could have cut tens of thousands of beers out of my diet the last 30 years at times that I wouldn't have had it if I had started my beer drinking journey like I am now in my 50s, totally changing it up. It was all habit, right? So that's the cool thing. And what I love is what you guys are doing is showcasing that on your podcast and getting the word out. It's awesome.
So like on your side of it, mentioning, the conversations you're having with your competitors and things like that, like, is it a very like volatile time right now within kind of the market side of it? Or is it kind of more, everybody's trying to help each other, kind of like we're saying, like all boats rising kind of a thing?
No, it's definitely, the majority are all helping each other out. So, I mean, I just got off an hour and a half Zoom with the AMBA, which is the Adult Non-Alcoholic Beverage Association, and it's a group of founders across the non-alcoholic beer, non-alcoholic wine, non-alcoholic spirits, that we're all coming together to try to help build this category up. Because what we have going against us is all of the huge alcohol companies that are wanting to protect their space. And ultimately, the majority of them, and that being the large alcohol companies, they're all stating that they're going to have their beyond alcohol portfolios. And they're all stating that they need to have 20 to 25% of their businesses represent non-alcoholic beverages. But at the end of the day, they still are looking out for their core business that pays the bread and butter the bills, right? So we are working together, and it's not volatile out there. I mean, yeah, sure, if you get into a store and someone's fucking around with your shelf space, of course. But, when we're working together to build this category, we all have to help each other out.
For sure.
And there's a lot of sharing that's taking place across the industry. And I know all of the founders of my competitors, and many of them sit on that board as well. They're part of that group or part of that association. So I think it's a unique moment in time, because we all know we have this, we're all in it. We all can benefit from it, or we all can lose, right? And so everyone's really trying to help each other out. And specifically in beer, the one thing I've seen versus other industries, there is within the craft beer industry, a lot of people do want to help each other out naturally. At least that's what I've seen from a standpoint. So that's spilling over into the NA space.
We just recorded with another brewery, and they kind of said something similar about the brewery, their local brewery scene of, in the streets we're competitors, but behind the scenes, we all understand that what makes one of us good is going to make everybody else good. And that's just going to raise everything. And the brands are going to be successful across the board because of that.
Yeah. Reminds me like all the cideries up in New England, that they were all on that board together, and they were all trying to, push cider forward. Like,
yeah.
it's nice to hear like the collaboration balanced with the competition to help out to benefit everybody, mostly the consumer.
Yeah,
that's how I feel.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
If I go into a store and I see this torn down and I know who did it,
We're gonna have words.
we got problems.
So we've got listeners all over the U.S. How can they get their hands on some of the great beer?
Yeah, dude. Well, the first place to go would be check us out on our website. So RationAleBrewing.com. We ship anywhere in the U.S. We may even go rogue into some states that we're not supposed to. Yeah, if you live on the West Coast, California, Oregon, Washington, Arizona, Nevada, Colorado, we are launching into Texas next month. We are up in Boston, so Massachusetts, Rhode Island. Those are the markets we're in. And we're in the majority of all the major retailers, aside from the Kroger, Albertsons banners today, but like Whole Foods, Sprouts, the regional groceries, Natural Channel, and we're in a ton of on-premise restaurants. So there's a lot of places that you can find us, but start at our website and you can order us right through there, direct to your home. We ship within 3 days. If we're not out of stock, like what happened to you guys?
Yeah, what was the story there? Just slinging too much product?
Yeah, it's a combination of two things. Just incredible amount of growth, and also transitioning into a new facility that was commissioning the technology, and it just took a little bit longer. And then there was just a bunch of delays. So we knew we had enough beer to get through a 6-week period, but then there was delays that were layered on top of that, which then just put us out of stock, which just crushed us. It was a one-time deal, but
right.
But it was all about transitioning into a new facility.
Growing pains. It happens to everybody.
Yeah, man, that's exactly what it was. And yeah, we're in the middle of doing a pretty significant capital raise as well. So we're scaling the business, investing into these new markets. So we're raising capital. So if there's anyone out there that is looking to make any investments that have like larger family offices or want to contact me, you can also reach out to me through our website as well.
We know 1 or 2 people.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, you guys probably do.
Get that information out there. Yeah, that's awesome. Jamie, is there anything else you want to plug here as we start to wrap up?
No, dude, you guys covered it all, and you asked me the right questions, and you let me freewheel it too. So let's do this again. I mean, when I get our seasonal beer out, let's do it. I'll ship you that, and actually, maybe we do this all over again in 6 months from now, because again, we're R&Ding these beers. So I'd love to see what you think of the next version of beers over the next couple of iterations, and we'll throw the seasonal in as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, love to do that. It's been a lot of fun talking to you, and it's been a lot of fun tasting these amazing beers, because seriously, like it's great.
It literally is great.
So
and like
good.
I was really worried. These are fantastic. Like they are Dripping Stone approved.
For sure. So Jamie, how the website again is RationAleBrewing.com?
RationAle, RationAle, RationAleBrewing.com. And that's the same for our Instagram handle and the same for our Facebook.
Awesome. So people can reach out that way. And we've already got a RationAle Brewing video on social media too. People can just opening up the RationAle package, the
Indeed.
gift package. And,
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Well, Jamie, it's been a lot of fun talking to you and, talking about the amazing brand that you're building and more importantly, the awesome beers that you guys are brewing.
Yeah, thanks, dudes. I really appreciate the time and stoked to reconnect and try the next batch of beers in a few months from now.
Absolutely.
I'm excited.
Absolutely. Me too.
Yeah.
So to that, Jamie, we say, may your glass overflow.
And your ass never show.
Cheers.
Cheers to that, boys.
Really informative.
Yeah. Great talking to Jamie. Such a cool story about what he's doing there with RationAle.
Yeah.
RationAle.
RationAle. Yeah.
Man, so great.
Yeah. Really, truly. And it's clear, like, not only does he love the company that he's building, but he loves what the company stands for as a whole. Not only the NA beer market, but like delivering great product to great people. Like, that's awesome.
Yeah. It's not just business, but it's obviously like a personal endeavor.
Absolutely.
And I think that definitely like is going to come through on the product.
And it's clear that he is someone who loves great beer.
Yeah.
and wants to bring a great product to the beer lover.
Yeah.
And that's what I really appreciate about what RationAle is doing. And I know we highlighted in the episode that it's not just we're trying to make a buck.
Right.
I mean, ultimately, like that's what every business, yes, is trying to do, but that's not just what they're trying to do.
Right.
Like they're trying to bring a great product to the people.
Yeah.
I got to tell you, man, that's it.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm fully behind it. Like, that was absolutely great.
Like we've sampled so many NA things. Some are better than others, but this is a product that's like, whoa, that is the thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And like you mentioned in the episode, Drep and Stone approved. Jamie mentioned the promo code for RationAle Brewing, and the promo code is Welcome25. Welcome all caps, WELCOME25, and that'll give you 25% off an order of 2 or more 6-packs. And let's be honest, you're gonna buy way more than 2 6-packs. So go ahead and get 25% off and save yourself a little bit of money. And that's going to help the podcast as a whole. Not that we get any sort of kickback from RationAle. We just want to save you guys some money.
And we want to help you get that amazing beer because that's great stuff.
It truly, truly is great stuff. So we'd love to know what you think about NA beers. And more importantly, we'd love to know what your experiences with RationAle Brewing. If you've had any of their awesome stuff, or if you haven't, again, go check them out and let us know when you get it and let us know what you think.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Because I dare say you won't be disappointed.
Well, you can get in touch with us through email. It's drepandstone@gmail.com. You can also get in touch with us through social media.
It's always one word, Drepandstone, DREPN Stone. Come find us, like us, comment on some things, share some things. Get in contact with us.
Yeah.
Just let us know you're out there. We'd love to hear from you.
We've done some RationAle stuff too, and go ahead and go like that and tell them to like it as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. Everyone knows how to support Drep and Stone Podcast. Go rate something, go to Patreon, go like something on social media, go tell someone about something.
We're all over the place.
Yeah, it's pretty easy to do, and honestly, like you guys, it helps us so much. Hey, buddy.
Hey, buddy.
May your glass overflow.
And your ass never show. A rational cheers.
RationAle cheers back to you.